our code is finished here for post and category, we need to put in some sample data into our database. First thing we should do is make sure it works correctly before we start actually hooking up our code through our web page, right? So the way we do this is we go into our Python console, our Python shell, which is right here. Oh, it's a little hidden. And what you could see here is a couple things. This is what the variables that are in the memory right now. So we've declared the Flask object, the app object, which is a Flask object, and inside of that is a G, which is part of Flask. It's just a thing. What we'll need to do is pull the database into here and have it created. So if we follow our instructions on the quick start, the constructions are somewhat complete, somewhat incomplete. So the first thing it says is, we write in this first basic code and we need to run this create all method. So it says here, from your application, import DB, and then create all. So let's do that. From my application is app, import DB. Okay, and sure enough, there's a nice little DB for us. Great. Next we do db.createAll, and if we run that, it will create the database for us. We should see it appear here in just a moment, but it ran without error, so I guess that's good. Let's say it's done. Let's say it did it. Okay, and we called it db.sql3, so I hope it appears there sooner than later. The next thing it has us do is import. We go down here and it says import application user, and it shows us how to import users. We're not going to be using this particular, we don't have any users, but we do down here, we did use this code, and it's post and category. So let's do that. Let's import, we have to start by, I don't know if you just saw it, we now have a db.sqlite 3 database, so we're in business. There's nothing in it, but it's there. So let's go ahead and pull into Flask, into the memory, and so we can play with it, work around with it. From app, import our post. This is our post class, and our category class. Okay, and we can just do category. And it worked. I guess it worked because they're right here, category and post. This will now let us declare objects of this type, and we have some ready for us here. We're going to make one with the PI variable. Now, this is like running code in the command line, but as if we were writing it here. For those of you not familiar with this kind of way of interacting, this is totally doable in Python. You just type in Python 3 from your terminal and you're in business like this. Okay, let's type this in. PY, we're making a category called PY, Python, great. We're making our blog post. We're going to write blog post about Python. And it went off without a hitch, no error. And sure enough, we see a PY, which is a category object. Okay, and on top of that, we're going to make a post. Right, and it's called, let's call it post1 is equal to, call our post constructor, and looking at our post style objects, we have an ID. Now it's a primary key, and Flask is smart enough to automate that for us. We don't declare it, we let Flask take care of that. But we have a title, right? Our posts have a title, and it's going to be my first post. The subtitle is going to be ain't ya proud, Ma? Right, it's my first post. Ain't you proud, Ma? Body, the body of the post. We'll just say content goes here, right? Super creative. Comma, yeah, just so you can read that out. Yeah, content goes here. Oh, let's close brackets, right? That would just look bad. Then we have publication date. We could specify if it was, I don't know, made in the past, but if we don't do anything, it will just run it with a default of whatever time it is now in UTC time. Hey, works for me. And then a category. So we can put category ID, or actually there's a relationship to a category. So if we just type in category equals, and we do have a category object in memory right up here. We declared py for Python. That's it, I believe. So we have a category, a body, a subtitle, and a title, right? And we don't need the ID, we don't need the pub date, and then categories not necessary because we've already, category ID isn't necessary because we are specifying the category. All right, so if I go to the end of the line here, and I press enter, no error, post 1, and post 1 was created there. Okay, great. Now what? Now we add it to the database. So we've created in memory this object, right? Two objects. We've created a category object and a post object, and we want to put these objects in the database. The way we do that is we go to database.session.add. So we're working on a session right now, and we're adding to the session post 1. Okay? Now, we could put post py, but actually Flask is smart enough to add, being as it sees that category is referenced in it, it's smart enough to say, okay, I'll throw that into. BOGO deal, right? Commit 1, yeah, add 1, add another free, right? Next is, once we've finished adding everything we want to commit it. And commit means, add means add it to the list of things we want to put in the database. Commit means take that list and put it in the database. Boom. Done. Is it done? It's done. And I'll show you how you can check. Instead of doing it, well, theoretically, if we do here post.query. First, let's see if that returns it. Oh, it returns something. I don't know if that's what we want. That's not the best way to check it, I guess. Now, I know it looks really great when I make these videos because I never get any errors. I'm going to keep this one in here because I get errors and I just end up redoing the video, okay? All right, the next task I have here is I want to access the database and look inside of it, okay? So I go here to the terminal instead, and we have SQLite3, no, not list, Lite3, okay? And the Lite3 is our way of accessing this Lite database. I type in the name of the database, db.sqlite3. Okay, let's see if we accessed it correctly. The easiest way is check the schema, and the schema is like the design of the database. So we can see this database is made up of a category, a table called categories, and it has an ID and a name. That checks out. Has a post table with ID, title, subtitle, bot. Okay, so that's what tables exist, but what's in those tables? Well, let's check if there's a post. So let's remember our SQL, Probably don't know much SQL, but don't worry, we only need to know a little, and it's pretty straightforward. So if we want to select something, we say what we want. So we want everything. So we want, everything is star, okay? From where? From the table, what's the name of the table? Post table. And then we end with a semicolon. Sure enough, there it is. It's entry number 1. My first post. Ma, ain't ya proud, ma? Content goes here, the date, and number 1. What's this? This is the ID for the other category. So let's check out the category, right? I guess it made it in. Yep, sure enough, Pi1 is also a category. So that, in short, is how you create the database and test it out to see how to put your first bit of data in there.